There are countries with a lower birth rate than ours. Korea's situation is serious, but Taiwan's is even worse. Until now, Korea had the lowest birth rate, but now Taiwan has become the country with the lowest birth rate in the world. The birth rate issue in Taiwan seems quite serious. Today, let's take a closer look at this topic. Let's take a look right away. As of 2025, Korea has the second lowest birth rate in the world. Taiwan is ranked first with a birth rate of 0.72, Korea is at 0.8, Thailand is third with 0.87, and Singapore is fourth with 0.88. Of course, Hong Kong and Macau recorded birth rates of 0.76 and 0.47 respectively. Even including Hong Kong and Macau, Taiwan is still recorded as the country with the second lowest birth rate in the world. With Taiwan recording the lowest birth rate in the world, it has sent shockwaves throughout Taiwanese society. Taiwan's Ministry of the Interior announced that on January 8, 2026, the number of births in 2025 was 107,812. This is a 20% decrease compared to the previous year. Currently, Taiwan's population is 23,291,312. The natural decrease has already exceeded 100,000. The proportion of people aged 65 and over has reached 20.06%, officially entering a super-aged society. Recent statistics from Taiwan's Ministry of the Interior show births have declined for 10 straight years, now falling below 110,000. This is not just a change in numbers, but an indicator that shows the seriousness of the population crisis facing Taiwanese society as a whole. Originally, the Taiwanese government's research predicted that the country would have the world's lowest birth rate around 2035, but the reality progressed much faster, and Taiwan earned the stigma of being the country with the lowest birth rate in the world 9 years earlier than expected. This rapid change isn't just a statistical issue, it affects all of society. Taiwan has seen natural population decline for 6 years in a row. Natural decline refers to a phenomenon where the number of deaths exceeds the number of births, resulting in a decrease in population. This not only means that there are fewer young people, but also shows that the elderly population is rapidly increasing at the same time. As the birth rate declines and the population rapidly ages at the same time, it seriously affects the socioeconomic structure, leading to labor shortages, decreased consumption, and slower economic growth. In the long term, it has also triggered a chain of crises in various fields, such as the operation of educational institutions, securing military personnel, and maintaining the social security system. Taiwan's population decline is now a structural issue, not just a short-term trend, and a bigger social shock is inevitable in the next 10 or 20 years. If birth rates keep falling, the aging population and decline in births will worsen, causing a long-term crisis for the national economy and society. The current decline in Taiwan's birth rate is not just a demographic phenomenon, but is connected to structural problems throughout society. Experts point to economic pressure as the most fundamental cause. For the younger generation, raising children is now a major financial burden. Housing costs in Taiwan keep rising, especially in cities like Taipei, where apartment prices per pyong are too high for the average worker. High housing prices are making it extremely difficult for the younger generation to get married and start independent families. Additionally, intense competition for college entrance brings social pressure, affecting not only academics but also future social status and economic stability. For both parent and younger generations, having even one child, private education, after-school activities, and preparation for college entrance all require continuous expenses over a long period of time, and this acts as a strong factor that makes people hesitate to get married and have children. Young people in Taiwan face such intense psychological pressure that some even compare childbirth to murder. It's not just a matter of money. Declines in quality of life due to childbirth and child rearing, career interruptions, and disadvantages in social competition are all considered at the same time, making childbirth itself feel like a burden. There is a strong sense of pessimism spreading that, unless the wage structure or real estate prices improve, no matter how many childbirth encouragement policies the government introduces, it will be difficult to achieve any real effect. It's no coincidence that the low birth rate issue is especially concentrated in East Asian countries like Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, and Taiwan. These regions commonly have a structure where the high cost of housing and education puts pressure on the younger generation. In cities with some of the world's highest property prices, young people often delay or forgo marriage and children because the initial cost of starting a household is so high. At the same time, a culture with an extremely strong emphasis on education also affects the decline in birth rates. Parents face huge private education costs for one child, covering not just academy fees, but also long-term expenses like private tutoring, skill training, and after-school activities. When people aren't financially ready, having children is tough. Combined social and economic pressures are causing a culture of giving up on having children in Taiwan. It's not just a personal choice, but a realistic result shaped by society structure. Many young people avoid having children due to heavy economic and social burdens from marriage and childbirth, which can seriously affect the country's population structure and long-term economic stability. If this situation continues, it will not only result in a decrease in the number of births, but also bring about various problems such as labor shortages, accelerated entry into a super-aged society, increased burden on the social security system, and changes in the education and real estate markets. The birth rate issue has become a structural crisis in Taiwanese society that now needs a national response, not just individual action. Taiwan hurriedly decided to provide 100,000 Taiwan dollars, which is about 4.57 million Korean won for each newborn starting from 2026. Some in Taiwan have said that at least 3 million Taiwan dollars, which is about 137.22 million Korean won, should be provided for there to be any real effect. In addition to childbirth subsidies, they are also expanding support for IVF procedures and subsidies for medical treatments like sperm and egg freezing. However, this issue is not being resolved easily. In the case of Korea, there is now a trend of rebounding birth rates. According to the National Assembly Budget Office, the total fertility rate in 2025 is 0.8, with the number of births recorded at 254,000. Of course, compared to the OECD member countries' fertility rate of 1.43, it's still a very low figure. Nevertheless, it seems to be rebounding again. Originally, it was 0.75, but it has increased to 0.8. Taiwan is facing major social effects from low birth rates. Already in 2024 alone, 4 universities have closed down, and Wu Chun-cheng, the president of the Taiwan Private School Teachers Union, has warned that out of 103 private universities, about 40 to 50 could face closure in the future. The seriousness of the problem is heightened by the fact that the decline in birth rates is not only affecting universities, but is also having a severe impact on high schools. By 2038, the number of students in private high schools is expected to drop below 30,000, and as a result, it is predicted that at least 50 or more private high schools could be at risk of closing. Along with educational issues, military concerns are also causing tension in Taiwanese society. As the decline in birth rates becomes more serious, worries about securing enough military personnel are growing, and there is even discussion in some circles about introducing mandatory military service for women. Military strength has relied on mandatory male service, but the shrinking young male population now directly threatens national defense. If birth rates keep dropping and the military shrinks long-term, it will eventually impact training quality and troop replenishment, becoming a major national security concern. The entire Taiwanese society is being affected by the shock of low birth rates, with education, national defense, and even the structure of the labor market being impacted in succession. The shrinking young population is straining schools and universities, burdening future manpower and the economy, and creating structural problems for national defense and maintaining troop levels. In this situation, there are warnings that Taiwanese society cannot solve the problem with simple policies to encourage childbirth alone, and that without a fundamental restructuring of the population and changes throughout the entire social system, it will be difficult to escape from a long-term crisis. The Taiwanese government's policies to encourage childbirth mostly offer cash support, but this doesn't adequately ease the burdens of the younger generation. Starting in 2026, they will give 100,000 new Taiwan dollars per birth, about 4.57 million Korean won. But in cities like Taipei, this only covers a small part of initial child-rearing costs due to high housing, private education, and living expenses. This is why some point out that cash support alone has limited impact on raising the birth rate. Experts stress that effective policies to encourage childbirth need long-term structural reforms, not just short-term cash support. For example, expanding parental leave, strengthening laws to prevent disadvantages for those using it, and improving workplaces so both parents can keep working steadily. To help the younger generation form independent households, we must boost housing support, narrow public-private education cost gaps, expand education and childcare facilities, and improve medical access. Only these broad social system changes will deliver real results. Looking into the future, if the current low birth rate trend continues, Taiwanese society will experience drastic changes in its population structure over the long term. In 10 or 20 years, the working age population will drop quickly, speeding up the move into a super-aged society. For example, by around 2035, the working age population is expected to decrease by more than 30% compared to now. As a result, the economic growth rate will slow down, and the social security system will come under severe pressure. With rising pension and medical costs, government finances will tighten further, and labor shortages will cause structural issues in all industries. Specifically, it will directly affect military strength. A shrinking young male population may make troop replenishment harder and reduce military training quality over time, impacting national security. This scenario isn't just about birth rates. It signals a crisis affecting the economy, society, and national defense. It is difficult to solve this issue with only short-term policies. Only through structural reforms and comprehensive changes to the social system from a long-term perspective can Taiwanese society lay the foundation to overcome the long-term population crisis. Beyond expanding cash support and subsidies, a more urgent comprehensive approach is needed to overhaul working conditions, housing, childcare, and the education system. What do you think about Taiwan's birth rate situation, which is even worse than Korea's right now? Please share your thoughts in the comments. That concludes the video. Thank you.